don't know what the greatest source. I'm thinking some of the factories down by the river.
I'm just going to assume that it's probably emissions from cars, vehicles.
It would probably be power generated by coal-fired power plants.
I think one of the biggest, again, we're going back to the two pollutants that we're really concerned about here, ozone and particulate matter. Unlike many metropolitan areas, which have a lot of cars and trucks and people, a lot more cars and trucks and people than we do, Vanderburgh County had 17 operating coal-fired power plants within roughly 100 kilometers of our borders. 17, including one of the country's largest up in Gibson County, plus some smaller industrial boilers. So we were surrounded by a ring of fire, if you will, with all of these power plants around us, none in our borders, but all around us. And as we all know, air is not a respecter of county boundaries. The biggest improvements in our air quality have come from the fact that due to the Clean Air Act and state and federal regulations, the power plants in the area have had to put on billions of dollars of pollution control to lower the nitrogen oxide, which contributes both to ozone and to particulate matter, to the sulfur dioxide, which contributes to the particulate matter and acid rain, to the particulate, the fly ash that would come out of the stack. All that's controlled now, down to about a 99% efficiency. Power plants in our area have reduced their sulfur dioxide or nitrogen oxide emissions by 50 to 70, 80%. And we've seen a drastic reduction in ozone levels and PM levels, especially ozone levels, but also PM levels as a result of that.
There are a couple of power plants in your part of the state that are going to have to make changes to meet the standard. As I mentioned, one of three things: either put on more controls, change the fuel, or close down, and we'll see that in the next few years. EPA also, back in December, came out with a new PM 2.5 standard for fine particles in the air. And over the next couple of years, we'll have to make an assessment of whether we meet that standard or not. If we don't, we're going to have to reduce emissions from sources, and a lot of the culprits are probably also going to be power plants, so they're going to be targeted there. Then third, in a few years, probably a year and a half or so, EPA is going to come out with a new ozone standard. The ozone standard, the range that they've talked about, 60 to 70 parts per billion, is really a major drop, and some people are concerned that it's near what the natural background is. So when that happens, there'll probably be a lot of areas across the country that will not meet that standard, but it's going to be extremely difficult for states and local agencies to decide what is it we really need to control to bring levels down to that standard.